hello kids, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's the author of the book, Hannah, none other than Mr. Johan Raubal.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Johan, on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Well, I'm a guy who came, or person who came late into writing, and Hannah is my first book. But I find I like this, so I have more books on the go.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. John. Thank you. And looking forward for more books to come, as you said. And tell us, Hannah is more than just a name on the cover. How would you describe the essence of her character to someone who has not met her yet?
So Hannah is the premise of Hannah is two people. You can imagine them. You've met them. One is a very beautiful woman. She's young, she's attractive. And her curse is that men take from her. They claim her beauty as her own. It's their achievement to be with her. That's how they see her. And she's had enough of it. Very young, enough of it. Does not want to be part of that world. And then you have John, who spent 6 years caring for his wife. And they weren't, when they got married out of duty because she was diagnosed with cancer. And if you take that situation they were in, she just took from him for 6 years and he had nothing left. And then you put them on a platform early in the morning and they just look at each other. And it feels like it could be something more than nothing. And that's how the book starts. There's more than nothing. And the book is about exploring those moments that could be something, but we hardly ever let them be more than nothing. We most often we brush them away and feel that we shouldn't really lean into those moments. And in this book, I've tried to really lean into this moment and see where it could go, where it could take you on that journey.
It's more than a nothing. So interesting, Mr. John. And tell us, Hannah is a name with deep historical and linguistics. Why was this perfect name for your protagonist?
I don't know. I
Hmm,
reached into the ether, asked for a name. I was given the name Hannah, so I wrote it in the book. And that's how it started.
okay. That's why there's a grace or favor in you.
But
Indeed.
that is what happened. I asked for a name, and the cosmos gave me Hannah as the name for the book, and that's her character. And I couldn't change it now. That is the name she inhabits.
Okay. So, what was your approach to finding and sustaining Hannah' unique voice throughout the narrative? Was it a voice that come to you easily, or do you have to listen carefully for it?
I have to sit down and just listen to them speak. And if I listen, I can hear them speak. And the challenge is more capturing what they say so that it's true on the page. Because they live their life in my mind. And I just sit and listen to them. And that's how it came. So I guess the answer is it was both difficult and easy. It's difficult to make sure that I portray them as accurate as I can or should do, so it's true to their voice. But it's also easy insofar as I just sit and listen to them. So
Yeah, interesting. Mr. Johan, as its core, is Hannah's story one of the internal struggle, external forces, or the collision of both?
it's hard to describe it in that way. I would more lean towards it's a story about being seen and also realizing that you're allowed to be seen. you're allowed to be yourself. You're allowed to have the wants and desires that you want to have, and you can have them with someone else. And it's not a performance. It can be real and genuine. And it's something I wish most people, more people, would would experience. Because especially in today's world, where so many people bow out of dating altogether, I hope this book can give them newfound, a, a slice of new hope, a bit of hope that they can actually find someone who recognizes them for them and isn't just out for something that suits them or fits them, or they can actually see another person for who they really are.
A slice of hope. I like that, Mr. John. And while Hannah's journeys is her own, what do you believe is the most universally relatable theme or question at the heart of the book?
I think I just said it, being seen. I think we all want to be seen for who we are. And when people want us to perform and be someone who we're not, it quickly becomes tiring. It becomes something that we're not, and it wears on us and it makes us feel unhappy. And that's something that I think I have seen a lot, both in my generation and younger generations, that much younger generation, people who just stepping into the real world as adults struggle with. Being allowed to be themselves is apparently today something that's not as easy to do as it should be. And I hope that's a universal truth that we can all agree on, that we should be allowed to be ourselves.
Yes, definitely. Was there a specific image, real life story, or what if question that sparked the entire idea of Hannah?
It's that moment at the train platform. What if? What if that moment means more? What if we take that moment and we go with it? We believe in it. We look at the other person and say, okay, where do you want to go with this? What's our next step? And see how it unfolds. That's just the start of the idea. And that's how it started. And then I wrote that, and then the other bits just fell into place. And before I knew it, the book was finished. And that sounds casual and slightly arrogant, but that is kind of how it happened. I wrote Hannah in about 9 months.
9 months. Wow. Congratulations, Mr. John. So, what was the most difficult aspect of bringing Hannah's worlds to life? What is a particular emotional scene or a plot point or capturing specific time or place?
So I believe in fiction, when you write fiction, anchoring it in real places makes it more relatable. It also makes it easier to feel the characters. And what I also love about setting things in real locations is how you can walk past that very location and kind of imagine them sitting there, figure out which table they sat at, which shop they walked in and out of, and just get that sense where reality and fiction cross over, and it doesn't feel like fiction. It feels like almost real in a way. And you see a woman that perhaps looks a bit like Hannah walking out of the shop, and you're going, "Wow, that's you know how weird is that?" But I love that moment. But then I also find what I find most challenging in writing Hannah is to portray her as a real woman, not as a trope, not as something that is written by me. I want to write her the way she describes herself and what she feels and how she inhabits herself. And that took some careful listening and talking to her and kind of understanding it. And I had help from other women who I could bounce ideas off and question motivations and stuff. And I think that really helped shaping Hannah into what I think is a very good representation of a woman. Because I'm not a woman.
So, Mr. Johan, did Hannah ever surprise you during the writing process? Did she evolve in ways you didn't initially anticipate?
Oh, she involved in ways I didn't anticipate at all. Um, because I was only witness to how she described herself, and this is her story and John's story, their collective story. She carries the title, but it really is a story about two people. But Hannah carries more weight than John does in some respects. So I feel, yeah, very close to me, Hannah, and you know, sitting and listening to her was both fascinating and where the story went. I mean, the character drove the story. I was only there to write it down in a way.
Yes. Write it down for sure. And thank you so much for sharing to the world, Mr. John. And emotional resonance. Which scene or moment in the book do you feel this is emotional care, and why was so pivotal for you to write? To write, I should say.
Um, Again, I think there are so many moments that it would feel dishonest to all those moments to pick one over any other. They are so, they carry such weight, many of them, for both characters. And for me, I'm fascinated by many of them. Some of them came easier, some of them I really enjoy reading now, but some of them I enjoyed writing more than reading them. And it just, it depends on the moment, but I wouldn't want to pick any moment over any other moment, because they all matter. It's all part of their story. I know it's non-answer, but I don't want to, I can't. You're asking me to pick your favorite child, and I can't.
You can't. Don't be a
I can't.
favoritism. What do you call that? Yes, favoritism.
I,
Be
I can't. I can't do it. I
yes.
really can't do it. There's some arcs that some storylines in the book that I really love, but they are. But then some other ones. There's so many, and I often find myself standing with the book. Even now, I pick it up and I flick it open and I read a bit, and I have a sort of out of body experience when I look at the text and going, I wrote that. Really? Did I write that? Because I like it, and it feels good that it's in print and that others can read it too. And I find the whole process fascinating. So yeah.
Hannah's journey seems to navigate between hope and hardship. How did you balance these elements to create an authentic, compelling arc without tipping into sentimentality or despair?
I write I write what needs to be written, and I don't write to overwrite it. I don't know how to overwrite. I I write what needs to be written, and I'm also in my writing fairly direct. I don't linger for pages and pages about describing a scene and a room and a landscape. I don't have the patience for that. So my writing is more immersive, more direct, and I like that. But and that's how I write. And in that comes, or with that comes, that clarity about what the construct should look like and how how we weave the story through the pages. But Hannah is a story about two people and how they find their inner self again and how they awaken themselves from having been basically frozen themselves out of society to one or to one or well, to a lesser degree, actually to quite a strong degree, they've frozen themselves out of society. John refuses to date. He just gets on with work. He lives alone in a home, in his house, and that's it. And Hannah, yeah, she doesn't really engage with the world on an emotional level. She just guards herself very carefully and works and does all the things she needs to do. And finding these characters and letting them exist in a world where they can find each other, I think it's a beautiful thing.
A beautiful thing to do for sure. So, Mr. Johan, as an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, my long-term goal is and short-term goal is to write more books. I'm currently working on my next book that will be out in October, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. And there's more books planned coming over the following years. So yeah, that's my plan. We'll see how that goes. I'm also hoping to help other authors bring their stories to life as well, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, my own personal plan is to write more, and my next book will be coming out in October 2026. So
Well, good luck to your goals, Mr. Johan, and looking forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be an author like you?
every person has a very individual journey in how they land on writing a book, and it takes belief in your idea and belief in how it works. Now, I've always had a creative mind. I just never sat down and listened to it properly. And Hannah, the cornerstones, the core elements of Hannah was written in my head long before it ever appeared on paper. And I loved playing with the idea of the book and the structure and the people and how they would how would they would react and relate to each other. So, and if anyone carries a story in their head, sit down, take a quiet moment. Difficult, I agree, in this day and age with phones and social media and everything around us, but take a moment and listen to your own mind and see if you can't get the structure down on paper. Just the core points. What is it about? Who's in it? What do I want to say? And then describe the moments that matter. And for me, I dictate a lot. That's how I mostly write, through my voice, and that can be very helpful.
Thank you for that advice, Mr. Johan. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Sorry, say again.
Can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
So I didn't catch that question. You have to say it again.
Yes. Can you please recommend a book or
Ah,
books that influence your journey?
no, I can't. I'm afraid there were no books per se that influenced my journey. There are authors that influenced me as a reader. John le Carre, Richard Forsyth, all the great authors in that genre. That always fascinated me. Spy thrillers and novels of that ilk. Now I write romance novels, so I can't I can't really translate those themes to my books, but those are authors that fascinated me. And yeah, but individual titles, no, that's too difficult for me to do. I'm sorry.
No worries at all, Mr. Johns. No worries at all. And what kind of conversation do you hope Hannah inspires among readers, book clubs, or critics?
I hope it inspires a conversation about women being allowed to be women, both in fiction and in life, the way they are, with their emotional and biological baggage they carry around with them. And I think that to me is really important. I mean, also letting men be men in their emotional way. And if there are men who cared for others, then let's care for them too. And conversations about being allowed to be yourself and not living under a pretense that is an image of something that you're not. I hope we can have some of those conversations.
Yeah, definitely. So, if Hannah could be placed on the shelves between two other books as a way of saying, if you love those, you might understand this, which books would they be?
I I don't know. I would love Hannah to sit next to the Constant Gardener, but that's only because it's a book I love. But it doesn't really bear any resemblance to each other. So I don't know. It's a really difficult question, and it's difficult because I've never framed Hannah in that way. I've never seen it as a book among books. I've only ever seen Hannah as a book on its own. So it's very difficult to frame it in a way that it sits next to other books. So yeah, it's hard to answer that question honestly and with emphasis on what it should sit next to, because Hannah is so important to me and it matters so much to me that I want to leave it on. I want to put it on its, on its upright on top of the book, on top of that low bookcase where you have a flat surface. Put it there on its own. That's it. That's where it is for me.
Incomparable for sure. So, Mr. Johan, without giving away too much, is there a part of Hannah's experience or a specific theme in the book that feels particularly personal or drawn from observed truth?
Can you run that by me question again? I'm going to be quiet.
Yes. Without giving away too much, is there a part of Hannah's experience or specific theme in the book that feels particularly personal or drawn from observed truth?
Hannah is a work of fiction. The way I write, I take some of my life experiences and things I've learned and people I've seen, and I take parts of it and blend it together into the books I write. None of it is lived experience directly. And Hannah falls into that category too. Are there moments in there that are drawn from my life? Yeah, of course there are. But do they reflect my lived experience? No, they do not. Because it's fiction. And I write it as fiction. But I also firmly believe in you write what you know. So if you take a little bit of this from your life and a bit of that from your life and a bit of some other things that you've experienced and people you've met and you mix them into the book is better for it. But it's not autobiographical in any way, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season. Abstract poetry in second season. I'm a book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in third season. I'm a food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101, love letters, and movie 101, review music 101 are in fourth season, Science 101, Sex 101, and second season. I'm a baby podcast, Law 101, Mental Health 101, and Bible Verses 101. And coming this December, Entrepreneur 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. John, tell us. Every book has its own path to publication. What was the significant milestone or turning point in the Hannah's journey from idea to the book we can hold today?
The first moment my hand trembles when I held it was the first time I printed out the full manuscript and realized it was 500 pages.
500 pages.
And I held it in my hand and looked at it and flicked through it. And I had it spiral bound as well for a beta reader to read it. And it was a very tense moment handing it over because I was for the first time letting go of something that I had written. I was nervous about that, very nervous, because I wanted not to let it go. But that was the biggest milestone. And then seeing it in print, oh, such a relief. Holding it in my hand and feeling the book, touching the pages, knowing it's real, that's such a relief in a way. It's satisfying at so many levels when you actually hold it and all the work you poured into the book is there and you can see it, touch it, hold it. And we spent a lot of time working on both the first edition work, which has artwork that doesn't exist in any other edition, and it also has some bonus material in it that I wrote as well. And I think that matters. And the hardback itself that you show on the page now, it's a fantastic piece of literary creation in my mind, and it feels nice to hold, and it's, it's sewn, and it feels purpose. It feels like it has a purpose, and I love that about it.
And Mr. Johan, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world through your book. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, can you please invite our listeners to support Hannah and your upcoming books? Mr. Johan, can you please invite our listeners to support Hannah and your upcoming books?
Yes, please. You can find me on my website. You can find me on social media, both Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, if you want. And yeah, please.
Yes, yes, people, let's support Mr. Johan Raubal because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering Hannah will rise. So, Mr. Johan, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for letting me on your show.
Mighty people, see you soon.